Alan was talking to a member about how to tune for bull or bear. One size settings don't fit all, and it kind of reminded me that there's a lot of guys out there that are still new and they don't day trade or bought the bot to help them trade. And then you really need to understand that there is no perfect setting for all around order flow. He touches on the points here. Alan Sturbine, the guy who makes our back tester for Gunbot, also writes script if you want script to actuate trading signals for you. You can find him on TradingView under that name right there. All right. So also one of our most valuable community members. The reason I chose Gunbot too is we have one of the best communities. It's nice to be able to get some help when you're looking for help, and this is actually a really strong community. That is the actual value of Gunbot. While there's a lot of great bots that do things, ours has some good setup, and I'll go over a few things right there in a second. So Alan has just given some basic advice about how to tune for one or the other, and having to accept that, like here, bear settings will work in bull, but you will make less in a bull market with bear settings than with bull settings. Okay. So as he goes on a little bit further down, he's kind of just giving some examples of what that means. So if you go and use the back tester too as well, say you tune for what you think is right, you either need to, like he's saying here, find a section on the chart that is bearish and test that, or back test a range that has both bull and bear, and you kind of got to be okay with your in-between settings that are kind of going to hit a little bit of both. So let's jump over and let's look at some things that you could do. So if you're running straight, well, let's just go with the gain. All right. So if you were to buy enable that, buy enable level 1. Okay, that's percentage below the lowest EMA to allow buy orders, strategy dependent. If you were to just turn this on and run this and flip over to this, okay, right over here in this section like he's talking about, this is a lot of, a little bit of sideways. If you were to buy, let me turn some of this off real quick. Turn off my indicators. All right, so below the lowest EMA, hopefully you would catch a buy somewhere, probably over here at this give back. And if you had trail me sell on, you might get stopped out in there and you might get a sell. You might get it there. Depends how your settings are set. But if you're set for a conservative entry, okay, and you get your conservative entry, and then you have a conservative exit. Your conservative exit is here. If you have some pie in the sky, you might get the whole move. And a lot of guys will look and be like, oh, I missed all that. Okay, well, that's fine. You were tuned for something else. You weren't tuned for crazy ass pops. But also here, the guy that tuned for that quick entry, yeah, he got an entry over here when it was barely moving, right? But what happened over here is he got his ass bagged. The second it crested over the top, it slipped below that lowest EMA by 1%. And then he's bagged up here. So then he's going to cry the blues because it's not going to look like this. It's not going to say buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell. It's going to say buy. And then it's going to sit there and you're going to be bagged the whole time until it comes back up enough. And guess what? If you got bagged there, you never got back out. You missed all this because you were tuned for extremely bullish settings. You were tuned for exits that were continually rising. You cannot tune for all of this. You kind of have to decide, like, this is many days. Okay, so this price action, same thing. If you had a conservative entry and you got bagged here, when's the next time you got out? Follow that line. You didn't get back out until this pop. So either you're tuning for kind of more sideways action for entry, or you're tuning for really deep pullbacks, okay, for entry. So if you're tuned for really deep pullbacks, the guy over here is crying the whole time like, oh, I never got an entry, never got an entry, never got an entry. The bot's broken. You're broken. You fucked the settings up. So where would you get a buy at, Mr., things are falling apart? You'd get a buy over here, okay? And that's a great buy. And you're going to be telling everyone, oh, look, my bot's so awesome. I got this deep buy. That's the only buy you got because you're tuned for crazy drops. And then, hopefully you got a good sell over here. Depends how your buy and sell settings are set. But people generally look back at the chart and they want it to trade everything perfectly. You have to tune for sideways order flow with conservative entries and conservative exits, or deep pullbacks with conservative exits, or, pie in the sky type of thing. But you have to look at each section. That's what I was talking about. Tune on each section of order flow. So the guy that was running gain overall here, you can see, man, he got fucking wrecked. This is, let me pull that up. Okay. This is with gain. It buys 0.3 under, so it buys pretty fast. Basic settings, right? And that would suck if you tested across the whole order flow. But if you were to bring this back here and test on this order flow, man, it was great. I mean, you made, conservative little gains. It followed the kind of in-channel, no crazy pops. You would absolutely 100% be left out of the game, though, over here until it gets back over here and starts falling. But then you'd also be getting bagged up really quickly. So you have to adjust your entry and exit settings. Now, if you go back again and zoom all the way in and were to start your bot again right here, and you were lucky, oh, good. You got a buy down here at the bottom. It didn't dip any lower. It didn't do this, right? And then you're going to be saying, oh, I'm so smart. My bot's so amazing. I did so good. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with, did you tune for the kind of order flow that's on deck and what's upcoming? You can't tune for straight downtrend with bull settings, right? My chart's pretty messy. But if you're trying to tune gain for this, and this is what you're getting, you're getting bagged up here and you're never getting a sell again. It's never coming back. And that's months. So you have to, tune for more what's upcoming. You can't just say, oh, I want, everything perfect. Now, what Alan was talking about is there is supposed to be eventually auto config. And that means you will set up some settings that are set for each style, like a loose entry and a tall exit. So a loose entry would be something like this, where you're expecting continual, gradual, grinding order flow and potential pops. So if you had a loose entry, you're going to get an entry on a pullback, and you're not expecting it to continue to go down. You're expecting it to go up. So then you have a tall exit, meaning, not 1% or 2%. So you're going to ride through all these dips, and eventually you're going to catch a pop. And you're going to sell into that. But if you never get this pop, it's just going to keep riding along. And it also could reverse and come back down, and it's never going to exit either because it's looking for a tall exit. So in doing so in the bot, this is what we're talking about. So you can change the way that it enters, right? So right now this is tuned with no overrides. It's just buy level 1. The second it's 1% below the lowest EMA, even if it's cresting across the top of an imminent drop to death, you're getting bagged at 1%. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Bot's going to do what it's told to do. So you can throw some indicators on if you want. You could throw on like MFI, money flow index. It's going to track some of that. You could throw on ADX. It's going to actually trend confirm, but it might also not give you what you want because it's tracking a particular set of numbers that they're after the candles are in. You might be like, oh, look, my bot missed that bottom. Well, of course, it has to confirm that it's changed trend. Like, it's never going to hit that. So there's some acceptance on your part that you're never going to hit the top and bottom wicks of everything. Like, that's just not going to happen without hand trading. Even hand trading, like, that's super hard, dude. You have to accept that you're going to catch the middle of the move. So you have to choose, like, do I want to tune for deep pullbacks? Well, then I probably wouldn't be using gain. And if I was using gain, what could I do inside my bot to tell it, hey, man, at below 1%, the lowest EMA, buy. But what if it's not a good buy? Well, you could throw on RSI. That's RSI level 30. You could drop it down to like 5, and that means it's really fallen off a ledge. But what if it doesn't really fall off a ledge, and you're running 1% and 5? What if it goes down to 20 and turns around and takes off, and then you're pissed off? You're like, oh, my bot didn't buy. It didn't buy. It's how you set. You have to tune for light pullbacks, medium pullbacks, or off a fucking cliff pullback. Okay. And in that, you've got lots of options. You've got EMA spreads, you've got gain, you've got indicators to ride over the top. You've got a ton of things that you can do to help you define how you want to find your entry. Like, you can run over here and you could use Bollinger Bands if you want. Okay. And then at that case, oops. One second. Anyway, and same thing, Bollinger Band, 1% below plus indicators. So at that point, what would you do? Well, you can run that so that your lower Bollinger Band is negative. You know, you could throw in negative 20 if you want, and that's 20% outside the lowest Bollinger Band. And if you want to get even crazier, you could throw in like a RSI or, you know, a stock, and that's going to make it even harder for it to enter. But then again, you're also restricting where it can enter. So if you're going to tune for a very particular event, when the very particular event does not show up, you don't get a buy. And you're going to cry. So you have to make your choice. Light pullback, medium pullback, deep pullback, off the fucking cliff, things are just getting destroyed. On the flip side, that's the sell. It's the same thing. So if on the other side, you want to set up, just say gain for easy. All right. And now you're saying, okay, we'll take a 0.5 gain. No matter what, it's just going to sell as soon as you have, you know, a 0.5% profit. We'll call it 1%. All right. So as soon as I got a 1% profit, I want my bot to sell. I don't care. Okay, if we go back to this chart and you were running that in an uptrend, and after this pop, you got a little entry on an EMA lower, and then as it came up, it would sell, you know, about right here from an entry there. And you'd go, oh, look, my bot didn't sell over here. Why didn't it sell over here? Oh, I could have made so much more. Or you look at it a couple days later and you're like, fuck, it's way over here. Oh, look, I missed all of that because you put it on light exit, medium exit, tall exit, super fucking tall exit, or ride the trend. And if you're trying to ride the trend, then here's what's going to happen. You're most likely going to catch all that. You're not going to catch a sell here and a buy here and a buy here and a sell there. Nope. You're the guy that wants to ride it. You want to put those real tall, you know, exit settings in. You want to shoot for this. But again, you're still not going to get a sell until over here because it's still trying to decide trend change. You know, there's some choices in like ADX and some other things that you've got an option for. So it's never going to exactly catch all the tops and bottoms. You just have to decide, what do you want to trade for? Light, medium, shit's falling apart or shit's going to the moon. And that's all done inside your bot. It's super simple. It's not that hard. Just you have to think about it for a little bit and go, match the chart. What would this look like? And if you can't match that, what you do is you go over here and you go, let me pull up the back tester and let's see what that would look like. Wow, I wonder what we could get if we tried the settings this way. And then think about what Alan's talking about too. If you do that and you try to sample data over this whole thing, there may be the ability that it was great on this section right here, and then it sucked ass on this, and you're going to look at the numbers down here and go, oh, it was okay. It didn't perform that well. But if you were to daily tune your bot and you saw this tightening up and you're pretty much expecting an imminent breakout because you're a chartologist or you have, you know, some basic understanding, then you could change strats from, you know, a loose entry and an early exit to, you know, an early entry and a very tall exit, and you could try to catch more of that pop. You just have to think about, what are you expecting? What are you seeing on the chart? Bull flags, trending, sideways, downtrend, you know, and tune for that time frame. Like, don't apply the wrong settings to the wrong time frame. If you're looking at the daily chart and all this, each one of those candles had a lot of flow inside. Like, you know, you could tune great for this on 30 minutes. Good look at that at 30 minutes. Oh, wow, that's all sideways. You could almost run ping pong on that. You know, you could have ran, you know, a 76 sell or a 77 buy and a 79 sell, and you would have gotten a ton of buys and sells in there. Of course, that's hindsight. You can look back and say, oh, well, of course you can see that now, but you know, that's the setting for that. You kind of have to chart a little bit and know what to expect. If not, you have to find the most mediocre, middle of the road settings that catch some of each move, some of the sideways trends, some of the pops, some of the drops. But a lot of the guys are tuning for aggressive entry, which is fine during this. The second you get this, though, you're fucked, you're fucked, you're fucked, you're fucked. And you're just bagged and you're just sitting there. So then you go over and you can go over and choose things like double up. Okay, and that's something you should choose prior to starting your strat. So now you've got the choice of, hey man, like we could run dollar cost average. Okay, and now your double up cap, how many times, how much, or how many times here, how much each time is going to buy from the original, and then the type of double up method, and then how far down below. But that runs the risk of now you want to change your trade to, are you going to use less capital for your first trade? This is all stuff you got to think about, and guys go and get themselves bagged up, or now they're digging a hole and they're further and further down because then they set their buy down to like 2% and then it falls, 20%, and they're mad because maybe they doubled up 3 times and now they're buried. A lot of times, a lot of the members won't use double up. They cut the loss. They'll just go over here to, stop limit, use a stop limit. But you've got a lot of options now. If all these things here to set your entries for light, medium, tall, if you can't find the right combo of what you need between all of this, okay, and there's a fair amount of stuff, but granted, there's not everything. There's stuff that even I want that's not in the bot. You can pop right over to TradingView settings here, and you can pass through everything you can find on TradingView. You can go over here and you can take, buy and sell signals off the chart from people that chart like Alan, or any dozens of people that, right in here. You can pass that straight through. It'll actuate a buy and a sell signal to your gun bot, and it will just actuate a trade for you. So you have a lot of options, but that's the options you need to plan for. Light, medium, tall entries and exits. That's how you make the most profits. You have to actively tune. The guy that just goes, I want to set it and forget it, then don't complain when some guy that trades, daily and tunes and says, hey man, this is tightening up. There's a good chance we're gonna pop. I'm going to change my exit from 0.5% to 5%. And he probably gets a sell up in here. And there's another guy that goes, hey man, I just really believe in this. I'm going to set for like 15% gains. And he catches that top. And everyone over here is super just like, oh, he did so good. He got 15%. But had it only popped 14 and came back down, he's still holding over here. He got nothing. So you have to really decide what is okay for you. Like, what are you okay missing out on, and what are you okay not getting in on? That's the best way to really set everything up.